I'm constantly looking for new contestants to fight on my channel. I've dealt with some cockier ones in the past, some humble competitors that just want to show me their skill set, and today I found one of the scrambliest guys I could find. Meet Paco, a guy who desperately needs a bulk but always has a fighting spirit. He went against me in a roll today to see if he could try and submit me, even though he knew this was going to be his biggest test yet. Let's see how it went.
As we dive into the roll, I know that Paco is a little bit smaller than most of the guys I'm usually going up against, but he's one of the scrappiest at the same time. So at the cost of his health and his neck, I'm going to give you guys good content by always having somebody that wants to go out there and try and beat me. But you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because I've already wrapped him up in the world's famous guillotine. This time arm out, deep guillotine, arm all the way across, and once everything's locked up and I know he won't roll to escape, he's going to have to tap out to this nasty choke. But one guillotine won't be enough to put this guy down. He quickly wraps me up into the front head, and even though he's a smaller frame, he's snapping me down to the mat, and as I try and spin out, he still keeps a good grip over my neck. I do get a good grip over his leg, but I want to keep it interesting, so I go for some spins, always trying to keep the scrambles ready to go, but he follows me the entire way through, and even threatens a guillotine on me, so I have to retreat back towards Turtle, and again I'm grabbing over his leg. The goal here is to pick his leg up so I can take his weight off the mat. Then I can spin into him, escaping his front headlock, and now I'm on top, putting him into another quick guillotine choke. For some style points, I keep this one-handed and pull on the tricep until he's forced to tap out. Despite being choked out twice in a short amount of time, it's like I attacked this guy's dog and he's going full John Wick on me, always trying to set me up into a worse position. He establishes a Russian tie on my arms and then he switches it off into a single leg. If you can ever grab their leg, you need to keep the momentum going by driving into them. My base is too heavy in this current position, but as he drives forward, I go with this momentum just to bring him over the back, and I hit him with my own knee pick, so at least one of us is scoring with the wrestling. As I'm starting to camp in half guard, he quickly grabs my arm and he hits an arm drag, but the second he lets go, I'm going to transition right onto the leg and bring him down to the mat. But I'm not done there. If those guillotines didn't already break his spirit, I'm here to collect his soul. And I find the best way to do that, other than becoming a Mortal Kombat character, is to grind them out and not let them escape your wrath. The problem that Paco is facing here is that when I'm pulling him into back control, he's technically at victim weight. If you're under 200 pounds, they say you're under victim weight, so yeah, I'm in that category as well. But if you're under me, you're pretty much asking for a bigger man to come up and control you. But Paco's not trying to be another statistic, and instead he's trying to constantly escape by peeling my arm so I'm not able to get the choke, and turning out so he can escape my hooks. He spent enough time underneath me that he decides to work up, but this is actually what I prefer. I'd rather ride somebody out in Turtle rather than have full back control, and I use a head lever from wrestling to gain control over his arm, then I switch to the other side. With the wrist trapped, I can lock up the rear naked choke without hooks and just fall over to get the tap. After being victimized to 3 submissions already, he tries to use the cheat code and go for the same submission I use by going to the front head first, but I get control over his leg and hit him with a quick double leg to bring him back down to the mat. This position is reminiscent of exactly what we just saw a few seconds ago, where he's on his side and I'm going to swim up, and I want to break down his posture, but he's making it tough because he's posting on both hands. So the easiest way to do this is with a power half. Normally people will just roll over here, but instead Paco decides this neck crank is too much and he decides to tap out versus fall over.
Anyone get tapped?
Now I'm going to give it an easy entry under a takedown for Paco. I go to my hand so he can start working onto my back and decide what he wants to do with me. But I may have a trick up my sleeve because as he goes, I start rolling into the knee bar.
Now while you guys are watching my ever-improving leg lock game, I want you guys to know about X Martial. X Martial is the biggest jiu-jitsu apparel company providing great gear to people like you. With promo code Tyler10, you can get some great looking rash guards like this one, custom rash guards that you've seen me use in other videos, and even things like gis and shorts. They constantly give back to the community, to athletes like me, other video creators, and people that just enjoy the sport. So if you want to support a company that looks forward to helping you, go to xmartial.com with promo code Tyler10. Pick yourself out some great looking gear, make sure you look stylish on the mats, and go guillotine some people for me.
Jumping back in the roll, we saw I got a great lateral knee bar over Paco, and I'm going to continue my onslaught with a nice trip as I control his back and I can bring him down to the mat effortlessly. Then from here, an easy trick to do is to pull your opponent with your bottom hook so you can force him into back control even if you don't have both hooks in yet. It was easy enough for me to squeeze the second one in there as he left the opening available to me, and I used the same power half from before so I can straighten out his back positioning. Thankfully this time he didn't tap out. Now if you're looking to improve your riding potential, you need to have tricks up your sleeve. Paco's doing a good job hand fighting, but he's letting me peel his hands at the same time. He prevents me from getting to his neck, but he gives me his hand control, and I got something cooking for him. It's not every day I get to abuse the common people with a cop block, but I'll take it when I can get it. Maybe in some other lifetime I'm actually a police officer submitting people with cop blocks instead of guillotines. Now Paco's establishing some wrist control and he's going to throw me into a quick shoulder crunch, establishing some strong control. But I'm lubed up more than Johnny Sins, so I pull that hot dog out of the tunnel and I free my arm, getting ready to pass his guard. Instead of holding him down and pressure passing, I decide I'm going to make it a little bit more stylish just by standing up above him and seeing what I can get done. I step on his leg and try and do an opposite side guillotine pass, but he follows me, so I switch and go underneath his leg so I can work towards the same back control from before. I'm not sure how many of you have seen my sweet little creation Charlotte, but it feels like I'm grappling with her right now as I completely contort his body in any way I want. I use the body triangle to lock down my prey just like a praying mantis. Knowing that I could probably tackle him with just my thighs and crushing his small frail ribs, I decide I'm going to be gracious and I'm going to go with a different approach. Notice how I'm wrapping up his arm. I'm using a Kimura grip to force his arm behind his own head, then I place my head over his elbow so he can't pull it back. And now we've entered the danger zone as he's going into a modified twister. I need to bring his hips the other way, so I lock my legs in a different pattern and turn till I can get the submission. Now we've entered into the last 30 seconds of this round. I'm giving Paco a chance to redeem himself. I've submitted him too many times and at this point I'm basically just a grappling dummy. He starts locking up a 3/4 Nelson on me, hoping to get to the darce, but I roll through to the other side. But this scrappy young fellow decides he's going to use this opportunity to throw me into an inverted triangle. Now I don't want to get tapped out, especially to a lower belt that I was just ragging on in the commentary. But trust me when I say this, he has a really tight grip with those legs. If he ever did a squat in his life, he maybe could have submitted me here with just the thigh pressure alone. But it turns out I was saved by the belt. Maybe next time he can submit me between his legs.